In this video, I'm going to answer the top 25 beginner's questions I've gotten about being an Uber driver and a Lyft driver. This is going to be a very casual video where I'm treating it like if me and you are sitting down, hanging out as friends, and you're like, hey Mark, what's it like being a driver? What about this? What about that? I have you 25 questions right here, so let's just jump right into it. Number one, how much do you get paid? This is by far the biggest thing a lot of people want to know. It does depend on your location. The number one factor that determines how much money you can make as a driver is actually your location. Some cities pay more, some cities pay less. I have found when talking to a lot of drivers on this channel, and other places, I find it's about $20 to $25 an hour. I think that's a good hourly average that if I had to encompass all cities, like I said, some cities pay a lot more than that. Some cities pay a lot less. I think 20 to 25 an hour is what you're what you should budget to make if you are planning on driving. Number two, has anyone ever puked in your car? Luckily, no. I've not had anybody puke in my car. Huge knock on wood, nothing. But I know some people, one of my friends, she started driving, her second ride in, she had to keep pulling over because this girl had to keep puking outside of the car. And she's like, great, this is my second ride. And luckily she didn't puke in the car, but you never know. I talked to another person who said their first ride, or excuse me, not their first ride, but one of their first ride, I believe it was their third ride, someone puked in their car and they're like, I'm never driving ever again. I think they did like 3 rides and they're like, I'm done. So it wasn't their first ride, but third ride in ever driving. So it depends. Luckily I have gotten very lucky. I've driven on a bunch of Friday and Saturday nights, but you never know, honestly. So I suggest if you are going to plan on driving, have some puke bags. Number 3, when can you make the most amount of money? This has been brought up because you all hear about the peak hours. Morning and evening commutes, Friday and Saturday nights. Making it simple, that's when you can make the most amount of money. Another thing on top of that is events. So if there's, like, say, a basketball game, if there's a concert, if there's something going on when there's a lot of people, even if it's, like, say, not a traditional period, like, say it's Tuesday at 8 or 9 p.m., like a Tuesday night, typically not a great time to drive. But if there's, like, a big concert, it's going to be huge. If it's New Year's Eve, right, it's going to be huge. So the events, and any single time there's a lot of people who are planning on ordering one, of course, you're going to make a lot of money. Number 4, do you have to have a quota? No. This is a big common misconception that a lot of people have, that when you want to drive, you have to do 10 rides a week or 10 rides a month, or they deactivate your account. There's really no quota. That's one of the best parts, is that you can drive, let's say, for a while and you're good. You can also drive for a little bit and you're good. It doesn't really matter, and that's what makes it super flexible. Like, there's been times, I remember especially in Boston, where I would drive for a ton of time, not drive for a few weeks because I was doing other jobs, I had other stuff going on, and I pick it back up. There's no quota. Number 5, which one pays more? Uber or Lyft? Uber versus Lyft, which one pays more? It really depends. It depends on a lot of factors, not just your city, but even that night. It's kind of random and kind of weird. This is why I suggest sign up with both apps. In addition, when it comes to getting different bonuses, on some weekends, Uber has this great bonus. On other weekends, Lyft has this great bonus. So it really depends. Sign up with both and test them both out. Maybe you find, in my given city, Lyft is just paying more. Maybe in your city, Uber's paying more. Maybe on the weekends, Uber pays more, but on the weekdays, Lyft pays more. You honestly don't know. Kind of continuing on with that, I've gotten this question, which one is better? They're pretty much the same. I know people who say, oh man, I hate Uber, I love Lyft, or I love Lyft, I hate Uber. I've heard both kind of perspectives from drivers. Being honest, they pretty much do the exact same thing. There are slight differences overall. I mean, they're 2 different companies, so I will say that. But when it comes to driving, they're pretty much the same, being honest. I actually have to do a wardrobe change, hence the sweatshirt, because it's super cold here in Austin. It was 80 degrees yesterday. Now it's 40 degrees here today. I don't know why it's so cold here. It's March, so I guess I kind of get it, I don't know. Anyway though, jumping back into the video, number 7, should you be a delivery driver or a rideshare driver? I've gotten this question a lot. Depends on 2 things. 1, the pay. 2, which one you like more. Now when it comes to the pay, some cities, Uber Eats pays more than Uber. In other cities, Uber pays more than Uber Eats. It really depends, so I suggest testing both out. Another thing is, which one do you like better? For me personally, I prefer Uber over Uber Eats because I like talking to people, I like driving people around. I don't have to get out of my car. With Uber Eats, you have to get out, go to the restaurant, grab it, come back in. Also, too, let's say if you go to an apartment complex and finding number apartment 43, and yeah. I prefer Uber. However, I know people who prefer delivery driving because you don't have to talk to anybody. You can play your own music. You can also have somebody else with you in the car. A lot of pros and cons to both. Number 8, are people nice? Overall, yeah. People are pretty easygoing. I find most people just get in your car and just go right to their phone and they're like this the whole time. Other people, other people are more talkative, so you're definitely going to feel that out with people, but overall, people are pretty easygoing, being honest. Number 9, have you ever met anyone famous? Unfortunately not. I've not driven anyone famous. The closest, I don't know if I call him famous, but the closest person to this is I actually drove one of the co-founders or co-owners of the Spartan race, like the obstacle course. That was pretty cool, but you never know though, especially depending on your area. If you live in an area that has a lot of famous people coming through, like I talk to a lot of Vegas drivers who say, oh yeah, all the time. Hey, you never know. Especially if you do more of the luxury rides, like if you do like, not even just Uber XL, but let's say you do like Uber Lux or Lyft Lux or Uber Black, whatever. Hey, you never know. Number 10, how and when do you get paid? So how do you get paid? You get paid via direct deposit with your bank, very similar to a lot of other payment methods. When you get paid is pretty cool though. You get paid once a week. However, you could do instant cash outs, which is awesome. A lot of people don't know this. So let's say you drive for a bunch of hours. Let's say you make $200. You can hit a button and instantly have that money in your bank account, which is pretty crazy to think that, like, I feel like Lyft and Uber is the only job that it's truly flexible, like I've mentioned in a bunch of other videos, as we all know, that you can drive whenever you want, make 20 to 25 an hour. I'm going to put an asterisk on this. I'm going to get into this a lot later in this video. I'm going to put an asterisk on that. But, then you hit a button, you instantly cash out that money, and you have it in your bank account. Pretty awesome. If you need to pay off a bill, if you need money for the weekend, you drive, you have it. That easy. Do you need snacks or goodies in your car? No. Honestly, they're not necessary. Number 12, what should you have in your car? Like, besides that, what should you have? I'm going to say 1, a phone mount. You should have this anyway because the amount of times I've seen a driver do this, kind of head bob with their phone, super dangerous, super annoying too. Just get a phone mount. I also suggest an aux cord because, yeah, most cars have Bluetooth, but it's easier just having the aux cord if someone wants to play music. Also have 2 phone chargers, one for your phone, one for the passenger's phone. You could also get like a multi-port one, so you have one for like an iPhone, Android, whatever the case is. Do you need rideshare insurance? Yes. You should already have auto insurance. Talk to your insurance provider and just say, hey, I'm planning on doing Uber and Lyft. Just let them know because your premium or how much you're going to pay might go up, and understandably so. The last thing you want to do is be in a position where you get into an accident, something happens, you call them, you say, oh yeah, I was driving for Lyft and Uber, and they're like, wait, we didn't know you were driving for Lyft and Uber. We're not going to cover you in this situation. Not the position you want to be in. Number 14, what is the sign-on bonus? How much are you going to get paid from the bonus when you sign up? Now, first off, make sure you use an invite code. My friends got around $1,000. This was years ago, back when the bonus structures were a lot better, but a lot of my friends got like $1,000 when they signed up. I got nothing because they used an invite code. I did not. Make sure you use an invite code. But overall, it really depends on the area. What they're doing now, they change it time to time, so it's kind of random. I believe what they're doing now is when you sign up, you have to do a certain amount of rides. So I think when I last saw it, it was in LA or Los Angeles, you had to do 200 rides. They guaranteed you $2,400 for 200 rides, which means if, let's say, you did 200 rides and only made $2,000, they would give you an extra 400. So no matter what, you were guaranteed that amount. It seems like that's what they're doing, but they always change it. Sometimes they give you a flat rate. It depends Uber to Lyft as well. It's kind of weird, honestly, but just make sure you use an invite code. Make sure you read the fine print. Because with Lyft, I remember, they have a thing where it's like, okay, you have to do 100 rides in your first month. If you do 99, and let's say you do that last ride in a month and a week, you get nothing. It depends. So make sure you read the fine print. Number 15, can you switch states and locations? Yes, it is kind of annoying. It's a bit of a hassle. You pretty much have to do the switch and then contact Lyft and Uber. What I mean is you can't really contact them in advance and let them know. It's kind of annoying. Like for me, when I went from Boston to LA, I had to switch over my driver's license, my plates, insurance, registration, all this stuff. Then I contacted Lyft and Uber and said, hey, I have all this documentation. Now I'm going to not like reapply, but in some cases it's kind of like a reapplication process depending on the situation. Number 16, what are the requirements? So like car, your personal requirement, age, that kind of stuff. When it comes to your car, it does depend, but the biggest thing is 4-door. They usually like it like 15 years or newer. Pretty easy with your car, no cosmetic damage. For most cars, 4-door, 15 years or newer. When it comes to you on your personal record, depending on your driving record, they are going to do a background check. In some cases, some minor infractions might be okay. In other cases, they might not be. So it does depend on that. Lastly, then, when it comes to your age, this is kind of annoying. You have to be 21 years or older. And if you're 25 years or younger, you need at least 3 years of driving experience. I don't like that they do this. I kind of get it that they want you to, that they want you to know how to drive and be safe. But also, I feel like that when it comes to Uber Lyft, it's the perfect thing for, like, say, if you're in college, right? But you do have to be 21 years or older. And even if you are in college, let's say if you got your driver's license at 19, well, you really can't drive until you're 22. So, I don't know. That's kind of annoying to me, but those are the requirements. Number 17, what's the best GPS to use? I just suggest Google Maps. Pretty straightforward on that one. Number 18, how do you pick the people? Like, how does that work exactly? So Uber and Lyft does everything for you. You pull up the app, you sign on, it says, hey, do you want this ride? What's crazy is back in the day, you were kind of in the dark. Like, you had no idea what to expect when it comes to getting somebody. Now, it will actually show you, like, here's the average ride, like, length, the distance, how much you're going to get paid on this ride. And you can either accept or reject it. Completely up to you. How do you get a 5-star rating? This is an interesting one. I'm going to be honest. This might be an unpopular opinion that I wouldn't worry as much about the rating. Now, you should be a good driver. I'm not saying you shouldn't be, but I feel like for most people, you have to really go out of your way and be a bad driver to not get 5 stars. And I know maybe some drivers disagree with me on this, but I feel like for most people, they're just super easygoing. They give you 5 stars. That's pretty much it. I think the best advice I got about this, ironically, is from Tim Ferriss when he gave a talk at South by Southwest, which is actually why I'm here in Austin for South by, is he said your goal isn't to make a good first impression. Your goal is to not make a bad one, if that makes sense. And this is not just true for networking, but especially with Uber, where you feel like your goal as a driver isn't to be the best driver ever. Because for most people, they just want to get from point A to point B, make it as simple as possible. But if, let's say, you do something wrong, if, let's say, you're very annoying to them, if, let's say, just something negative happens, that's what's really, really going to jump out at them. Like, you almost start at 5 stars, I feel like, in most people's heads. And unless something really, really negative happens, it stays at 5 stars, right? So even the most basic experience as a as a rider for me taking Uber and Lyft is going to be a 5-star experience. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. And if anything, I feel like the more you say to people like, oh, like I have this, like I have gum in my car, I have candy if you need it. I feel like the more you try, the sometimes harder it comes off. Just be super easygoing. Like I said, phone charger, an aux cord, and phone mount's really all you need. You should be fine. Number 20, can you drive for both? Yes, and you should. Sign up with both apps, like I said in the beginning of this video, and you can drive for both at the same time. So on the same phone, you can have both Uber and Lyft pulled up, both ready to go. If let's say especially it's a slow day, have them both on. Once you get a ride, like say through Uber, deactivate or sign out of Lyft, drive for Uber. When the ride's done, pull Lyft back up. You can go back and forth. Number 21, how can I avoid drunk people? So you don't have to drive on a Friday and Saturday night if you do want to drive. I want to say that I've had some people be like, well, Mark, I want to drive, but I can't do a Friday or Saturday night. Again, morning and evening commutes are your best bets. If let's say you do a 9-to-5 job and that makes it tricky, I suggest doing the pregame hours. So on a Friday, I'm talking about 5 to 8, 5 to 9 p.m. These are people who are not drunk yet. They're just going to their friend's place and they're getting ready. You can still make a good amount of money. On a Friday, I might even say starting around like 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. to about 9 p.m. And you could do like a Sunday fun day. People might be drunk, but you can still make a good amount of money. You don't have to drive on Friday, Saturday nights. Of course, if you do want to avoid drunk people, do the pregame hours and the morning commutes or Saturday and Sunday during the day. Number 22, do I need a car? What's the car situation? So one, you can use your own car, as we all know. If it doesn't qualify though, you can also rent a car. There's a lot of complications that come with renting a car. I definitely suggest looking into the fine print and the terms, but overall, if let's say you're like, Mark, I need a car to get a job, but I need a job to get a car, you can rent a car. The terms can be kind of ridiculous, so again, read everything, but hey, you can start driving, you rent a car, you work your way up, maybe you get your own car, etc., etc. Number 23, do I have to dress up? Honestly, not really. I mean, I'm going to say no. Just look presentable. Like, I feel like this outfit, the Blockbuster sweatshirt and jeans would be fine. One thing I do want to say, though, is if you are doing things like the luxury rides, the black rides and whatnot, I feel like you kind of have to dress up. I feel like it comes with the territory. But overall, just dress fine. You should be okay. Number 24, do you need a second cell phone? Kind of touch upon this, but no. Now, I know some luxury drivers or like limo drivers have a second one. That's a bit different with your clientele. But if you're, like, say, a regular Uber or Lyft driver, I just think it's a waste of money. Just use one cell phone. And like I said, you can run Uber and Lyft on just one cell phone as well. Number 25. Let's get into it. Is it truly flexible? This could be an entire video. I've already done actually a big video about this. So it was like, I think, 10 minutes long. Their answer is kind of. Like I mentioned before, that asterisk on, well, hey, you could drive 20 to 25 an hour. It's not what you're going to make. You can do it any time, and you have that instant cash out option. Here's the truth. You're going to make the most amount of money, like I said, in the peak hours. Morning, evening commutes, Friday and Saturday nights. And of course, there are other different hours that you can make a good amount of money in as well. The tough part is like say you can only drive Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 or 2 p.m., well, that's a non-peak hour window. Not a lot of people are taking an Uber and Lyft, so you're not going to make that much. I remember the first time that I drove, and the last time that I drove on a Tuesday in Boston, I think it was at like 1 p.m. to like 4 p.m. just to kind of test it out on a Tuesday during the day. Not a lot going on, and we had like 4 or 5 an hour. So yeah, I was making money, but looking back in hindsight, I was like, okay, I'm never doing that ever again. Ever. Because why would I get out of bed, get ready, and yada yada, or not get out of bed, I guess I was already up. But you get kind of the point I'm trying to make, that the hard part about Lyft and Uber, and it depends on your city, because I know some cities that it's always crazy and busy, like Vegas or whatever. But the truth is, as flexible as they try to make it, you really can only make the actual money during the peak hours, during the best times to drive. That's why in some ways it is truly flexible. You can truly drive however you want, whenever you want. But there's definitely an asterisk on that where you can really only make the big bucks in the peak hours. And now, a bonus question. I feel like it wouldn't be one of my videos without doing like a bonus thing at the end, which I pretty much always do. And that is, at the end of the day, do you like it? Like, is driving fun? Honestly, yeah. I had a bunch of commenters. I did a video about this as well. Say, hey, Mark, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like there's something addicting about it. And I kind of agree. I don't know why, but once I started driving, I looked at like my time very differently, where I'm like, okay, it's a Thursday night. I can either stay in on Thursday night and watch Netflix or work on something, or I can go out and make money. And it's almost addicting in an odd way where you turn on the app, you can drive, let's say it's a Thursday night, you can make good money because it's Thirsty Thursday, people are going out. And then I get back, I hit a button, and I instantly can cash out. So I know that almost in an instant, I can, right then and there, or after a few hours, have money in my account for whatever I want. So it's kind of cool that you can just, like I said, instantly start driving, instantly have that money. It's kind of addicting, and I also do love it. There is one thing, I remember my cousin, who's an entrepreneur, suggested I get into Lyft and Uber. That's how I got into it. And he told me, look, it's a lot of fun, but you're going to be surprised how much the hours fly by. And it's very true. Like, I do a lot of different things. I think when it comes to Lyft and Uber, I've never had the hours fly by out of any other job from Lyft and Uber. I don't know why, because on average, I feel like you do about anywhere between 1 to 3 rides an hour, depending on the intensity of the ride. Usually 2. I said most people budget around 2 rides an hour. So if you think about it, the idea of, driving somebody's place, or accepting the ride, I'll say that, driving their place, picking them up, you get to talk, meet them, interact, you drop them off, you get the next ride. It flies by so fast that 3 or 4 hours is like that when it comes to driving. And in addition, one last thing I will say about this in terms of just like what it's like to drive, it is also oddly super exhausting. That was a bit of like a negative thing that, like, say if I did 5 to 8 p.m. on a Wednesday, right? I did some of the evening commuting hours, and people were still out around 7 or 8 p.m. It was still surging. So I was like, all right, I'll just, I'll drive for another hour. After those 3 hours, as much as I liked it, as great as it was to get that instant cash out, as fast as it flew by, I'd get back to my house and be drained. To the point where I'd be like, oh, you know what, I should work out, but I'm just too exhausted. Overall, though, Uber and Lyft is a great job to have that's super flexible. It really does balance a lot with other jobs, especially given the pay. But remember, the biggest things really depends on your situation. When you can drive is a big factor. How you drive. Are you using your own car or a rental? Another thing, of course, is your exact location. There are a lot of different factors that determine how much money you can make and how much you're going to enjoy it or not. So my best suggestion, start off part-time if you want to start driving. Test out the waters. See if you like it or not, and then potentially go to full-time. Or maybe you're like, you know what? Even driving part-time, I don't like this, and you stop driving. In addition, if you have any other comments or questions you have about driving, whether it's starting driving, getting signed up, driving techniques or whatever, feel free to post them in the comment section below.